Peter Bjornson has over 25 years of experience as an educator in Manitoba. His role now is as an instructor administrator at the University of Winnipeg. So essentially, you teach teachers.
That I do. Yes.
So we do know that there's been a rise of anxiety and depression among students. How does that impact instructors as well as in the classroom and outside of the classroom?
Well, I think one of the keys to being a good teacher is being aware and of your students' needs and building relationships with your students. If we have students who are experiencing difficulties, hopefully they would have the confidence in you that they could come and talk to you about their situations and how that might be impacting their performance in the classroom and if they need any special accommodation. Mm-hmm. And of course we have accommodation services at the university if their students are struggling and they do need some extra consideration from the instructors. So we do our best to address those needs should they be identified and as they arise.
Mm-hmm. And so in your experience, have you seen a change in the use of accommodation services in the past few years?
Well, my tenure here has been quite brief actually, but and I've only recently been aware as some students have disclosed the need for accommodation. Mm-hmm. But we are, as you mentioned, seeing a rise in issues as far as mental health is concerned. Mm-hmm. When I was a teacher, I always believed that if the student didn't fit the system, we had to make the system fit the student, and that included children who were experiencing mental health and distress. So as an educator who went on to become Minister of Education, I also had an opportunity to do something about that in some specific cases. For example, war-affected youth. A chance meeting with war-affected youth in a high school resulted in a grant to support schools and school divisions to help recognize the special needs that those students might have and the trauma that they might have experienced and how that would have affected them in the classroom.
Interesting.
So we started a grant there that eventually morphed into what is now known as the Newcomer Support Grant, but it was originally the War Affected Youth Grant. And that speaks to the need for teachers to be aware of what those students are bringing into the room and what situations they have to be cognizant of and how to deal with situations should they arise and support those students.
So now that there is that rise in sort of more diversity in the classroom, are you finding that educators are well equipped to deal with students that have anxiety and depression?
Well, I see that there is a need to do more. In my previous role in politics, there was a movement that had just started towards the end of my tenure where the school divisions are coming to the table saying we need to do more for mental health and in our schools. We need to recognize that these issues are on the rise and we need to do more. And it had gone through the Healthy Child Committee of Cabinet at the time. There were recommendations that were made. Where it is right now with respect to the current government is beyond, I certainly don't know what their plans might be, but I do know that awareness is the first step. And once you recognize a problem, acknowledge that there's a problem, then you have to develop a plan to deal with the problem. And it is a problem. We're seeing a rise in anxiety and depression, and we need to do more to support students who are experiencing that.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Peter, for speaking with me today all about anxiety and depression, coming from his experience of being an educator in the system for, again, several years in Manitoba. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Appreciate the opportunity.